Hey y'all, this is Texan Reacts. Shout out to all my Dutchies out there. We're going to be doing another little Dutch video. This one, it's called The Time the Dutch Ate Their Prime Minister. It's an animated story. Yeah, hopefully that's some sort of joke. Maybe they made cookies that look like them or something. Yeah, but we're going to be checking this out because, if it ain't Dutch, it ain't much. So let's go.
Historically speaking, prime ministers aren't food. But this little fact wasn't enough to stop those go-getting Dutch from chowing down on their own in 1672.
No way, this is real.
Now, this raises a pretty obvious question: why? Why did the Dutch eat their prime minister? How does someone go from being in a position of
Duh, because he tastes good.
immense power to becoming food for an angry mob? So, a bit of background. In the mid-17th century, the young Dutch Republic was in a difficult situation. It was surrounded.
What is that little dot of orange south of the Netherlands? And yeah, I guess, does it get connected later? I can't remember. I think it does.
Surrounded by hostile powers who were pretty keen to carve it up or at least permanently subjugate it.
What
You
is that,
see, the
Russia?
Dutch Republic was rich, incredibly
Yeah.
rich, mostly due to its near monopoly on trade with Southeast Asia, which everybody else wanted. Having so many enemies meant the war was somewhat inevitable. So the title of Prime Minister didn't exist back in 1653, and the formal head of the Dutch Republic was called the Stadtholder. Previously, this office had been held by the Princes of Orange and was essentially an elected monarchy. However, as of 1650, the office
Elected monarchy, that's really cool.
by the Princes of Orange and was essentially an elected monarchy. However, as of 1650, the office was left vacant after a quarrel between William II and officials from Holland. In the decades following this, the country was deeply divided between two political groups. The first group was the statists, those who favoured a loose federation and less centralised power, and the second group were the Orangists, who wished for the return of a monarchical system under the House of Orange and a deeply centralised state. Without a stadtholder, the effective head of the country was the Grand Pensionary of Holland, the richest and most powerful of the United Provinces. And the man who held this position was Johan de Witt. De Witt was in many respects a moderate whose primary interest was protecting the flow of trade, and thus he wanted to avoid war at all costs. As such, de Witt prioritised the creation of a strong navy to deter anyone from interrupting.
So back in the mid-1600s, were their flags actually the red, white, and blue? Or
costs. As
Did they have
such,
the
de Witt
orange back then?
prioritised the creation of a strong navy to deter anyone from interrupting said trade. Now, this policy worked well initially. When England fought a war in 1665 to pry some Dutch trade away from it, the Dutch promptly and decisively crushed the English navy. After this, de Witt was at the height of his popularity and power, and so sought to use this to settle his dispute with the Orangists, who were led by the young William of Orange. As such, he implemented a law which meant that Holland no longer recognised the office of stadtholder, making it impossible for William to have control of the entire country should he rise to power. To put it mildly, this upset the Orangists, but there wasn't much they could do yet. Things went south in 1672 when King Louis XIV of France decided that the Dutch Republic's existence had gone on for a bit too long, and so he invaded. And things went poorly for the Dutch. Very poorly. So much so that 1672 is referred to as the Rampjaar, which directly translates to a year which in retrospect can safely be described as being pants. With
pants? Okay, great.
the French army rampaging through the country, the Orangists demanded de Witt's head and made a failed attempt to assassinate him. He resigned the office of Grand Pensionary, but this wasn't enough since he could potentially return, and so the Orangists arrested de Witt's brother. When de Witt went to visit him, he was ambushed and killed by a mob, and said mob subsequently ate him and his brother. Not all of them, that would be uncouth, but they did cook and eat some of them. We know this from several sources who described it as actually being a fairly organised display of cannibalism, which is pretty rare. In the end, he was killed because the people of his country were in a state of raw panic, and the Dutch mob ate him because they hated him. He had kept their right.
Did they at least use a good curry ketchup? Hope so.
Rightful monarch away from power, and so they sought to humiliate him in death. And in case you're wondering, the reaction to the deaths in the Netherlands was that it was justified, and the new stadtholder, William, quickly pardoned everyone. So if you only take one thing away from this, when leaders mess things up royally by losing a war and alienating half of their own country, they move on to the list of things eligible to be eaten. Something to remember if you ever want to go into politics. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and thank you for watching, with the special thanks to my patrons: James Bizanet, John Lucid, A Man of Culture, Danny Maloney, Little Holiday, John Bizges, Rob Waterhouse, Mo,
Does he read
James
them all?
Builder Oink Oink, David Silverman, Kelly Moneymaker.
He does. Anyways, that was really, really interesting. I love these little things. I love learning. I love history. I love learning about other parts of the world that I've never visited, and maybe someday will. But yeah, that's it's quite scary. I had no idea you Dutchies are a bunch of man eaters. Um, I guess just remind me never to come over there and become prime minister. But yeah, that was that was fun. I liked it. So what else can I listen to? Are there any other animated things or stories or lessons or whatever history that you want me to react to? Um, I love to learn, so let me know. It doesn't have to just be the Netherlands, y'all. If y'all are watching from another country, then if there's something out there you want me to learn about your country, then let me know. Um, if you enjoyed this, please like, please comment, please subscribe to my channel, and check out the Discord down below. There's a ton of Dutchies on this Discord, so stop on by. Don't be shy. Till next time, rock on.